I'm Karen Atkin, president of the Ontario Lawn Bowls Association. And generally, we're going to be keeping everyone muted because otherwise there tends to be a lot of feedback on the line. I'll cover off what you can do if you've got questions as we go. Oops, here we go. Oops. So I do want to welcome everyone. And in terms of logistics, this is an online meeting. If you have questions, what you can do, you can type them in the chat, which is, see where that big red arrow is on your screen. It lines up with that. It's a little, looks like one of those call out boxes. And if you would see when you were reading comics as a kid. And so you can type your questions in there. And then the other controls are across the bottom. So for example, if you click on the happy face, it'll pop up with the reaction button. So you can hit a button and you can have a reaction appear on the screen when you like something. As you may have just heard, we are recording this meeting. That's primarily for note-taking purposes and also for example, award recipients who can't be at the meeting today. We won't be posting the recording. Okay. So our agenda, as published in the official meeting notice, is a fairly standard agenda. So, we'll go through all of these items as we do. I'm not expecting that the meeting will be longer than a couple of hours, but we shall see. It always surprises me. I'm going to start with, our secretary, Rebecca, is taking minutes. So I'm going to officially call the meeting to order. It is 10:03 a.m. And I'll begin with a land acknowledgement. When we recognize the Indigenous people of all the lands that we're on today and acknowledge the importance of the lands which we call home. We do this to reaffirm our commitment and responsibility in improving relationships between nations and to improving our own understanding of local Indigenous peoples and their cultures. We acknowledge the ancestral and unceded territory of all the Inuit, First Nations, and Métis people that call this land home. And the OLBA is on the traditional territories of more than 100 First Nations, so I will not go through and name them all, but there's some of them that are named there. It is a very diverse group of First Nation, Inuit, and Métis people. And I'd also like to just have a moment of silence and recognition of all of the lawn bowlers who have passed in the recent year. For those who don't know, there is a memorial page on our website. And if you have a club member who has passed away, you can send an email to us at the OLBA, and we'll add that person's name and we'll update them in SAM. So we'll just pause for a moment. Thank you. So I just want to make a few sort of opening remarks, sort of a bit of a year in review, if you will. This is my first year as president. It's been full and busy, and I am looking forward to another year. I would like to start with a fairly large group of thank yous. April 19th to 25th, so this past week is National Volunteer Week, so it's rather appropriate that we do this thank yous at this stage. So the ongoing success of the Ontario Lawn Bowls Association is only possible with the countless volunteers at all of our clubs. And this past year, I actually had the pleasure of visiting some clubs that were new to me, and I got to see many volunteers in action, or to see the examples of some of their work. So for example, clubs that had had improvement projects as a result of their grants. And later today, we will formally recognize some key volunteers, including our Volunteer of the Year and Greenskeeper of the Year. But I really want to thank everyone from all the clubs for everything that you do. I'm particularly grateful for the ongoing support of the OLBA Board of Directors and committee volunteers. We can only achieve our strategic goals with their generous time and effort to pull in that direction. And I also want to thank our executive, Kevin Goheen. He seems tireless his work for the OLBA. Some of you know may have been on the receiving end. Kevin can sometimes be up as early as 5 in the morning sending you emails. So he's busy working various hours of the day to help us achieve our goals. We have 4 outgoing board members that have completed their terms, and I'd like to specifically thank them. And they are Brian Blair, Deb Holdsworth, Pat Binney, and Don Wortman. And we thank all of them for everything that they've done during their tenure on the board. We had a board meeting last night, and so I thank those that were in attendance specifically. We, of course, need to thank our funders. So we get money from the Ontario government through the Ontario Amateur Sport Fund. We also get summer grant money from the Ontario government and from the Government of Canada. We would like to acknowledge our and thanks Dan Milligan of MVP Sports for his many years of support for the sport and the OLBA. And we wish him well in the next phase of his life. As you know, he has stepped back a little bit from the sport. Yeah, Kevin, you had your hand up?
Yes, please advance the slide deck.
Right. Yeah. Oh, yes, thank you. And then sort of stepping into the gap, if you will, that was left by Dan's generous support. Sarah Van Stein of VS Sports is a new sponsor for the OLBA, and in particular, she's sponsoring our membership award. And our advertisers that you'll see on our website in various places include Richard Burton, Woodbay Turf Technologies, Excalibur Insurance, and Dell Manor Retirement Living. And so a big part of today, we're going to talk about some of the accomplishments that we've done this year. There is a full sort of annual report that is on the AGM part of our website that has more detailed information. We welcomed a new club this year, Blue Water Short Mat. And so we now have 108 member clubs. We've had an overall modest increase of members to almost 7,600. Our largest club, Cosburn Park, has 330 members, and we've got 9 clubs that have more than 150 members. And last year we welcomed almost 1,700 new bowlers to the sport. Unfortunately, our membership retention rate continues to be a little bit lower than we would like. We're doing some stuff to try and help clubs with retention, including we held a very well-attended webinar and introduced some new tools. Bill Arthur, our marketing and membership director, is going to talk about that a bit more later. We had several other additional webinars and introduced other tools to help build capacity at clubs. And then for the last 2 years, we've been, Kevin has done a great job of producing our monthly newsletter that we send to all of the clubs. And we also post on our website. And this year we introduced the capacity to send the newsletter directly to members who would like to have it sent to them. And it's an excellent way for people to keep abreast of the latest developments. So if you want to sign up for the newsletter, you can do that on our website. And later, our director of grants, Rebecca McQueen, is going to speak a little bit about grants. I just wanted to say that unfortunately, the grant approval record so far this year does not seem to be great. We've heard from, I think, about 25 or so clubs, and I think the approval rate for grants right now is somewhere in the neighborhood of about 12%. So I would encourage everyone who applied for a grant to let Rebecca know. You can just do that by emailing her grants@OLBA. And if you're successful or unsuccessful, let her know. We're monitoring the information that we get about why clubs have been unsuccessful so that we can try to identify trends and identify if we need to intervene, possibly have some conversations with some people from the ministry or our elected representatives to try and encourage a little more funding for our sport. We have been quite successful in receiving funding this year for summer students. So we received 5 in total. So they'll be doing a range of activities. So they'll be helping out with championships, membership, grants, and marketing and communications. We have had 2 sets of Club Coach Part 1 clinics that happened last week and the week before. And then over the next month, we'll be holding a total of 4 Part 2 clinics at different clubs across the province. We're working to get those as spread out as possible. And we're also working with Bowls Canada to see if we can get some further clinics scheduled. There's some of them, for example, performance coaching and competitive coaching, that are clinics that they would typically run. We approved several new initiatives at our recent board meetings, both last night and the month before. So one of the new initiatives is what we're calling our coaching support program. So we will provide funding of $500 for newly certified learning facilitators, competition coaches, and performance coaches. We'll post more information about those initiatives on our website under our policies and likely on a separate page as well, so you can find out about them. So if you're in the process of doing training for any of those 3, let us know, and we'll see what we can do to help support your progress through those, including encouraging BCB to hold courses. We also introducing something called Future Bowlers Initiative, or Future Champions role here. So we will be providing some support to clubs that are hosting youth tournaments. And again, all the details of that will be on our website. I would like to congratulate Reese Warren. Reese is busy bowling today because there is a short mat tournament, but Reese just became certified as or accredited as an international technical official through World Bowl. So that's like the highest level of umpiring at the world level. He is the only one in Canada with that certification at the moment. So well done, Reese. That was a lot of work to get there. Our competitive bowlers last year did very well, and we'd like to congratulate all three of our national teams, the para bowlers, our junior and youth bowlers, as well as the team that went to majors. We earned 10 gold medals, 4 silver, and 5 bronze medals. So that's pretty amazing achievements. This year, Bowls Canada has been a little slow off the mark finalizing the details for the 2026 season. I am pleased to say that Ontario clubs have stepped up in a big way and will be hosting 3 of the championships. So the seniors triples are going to be in Windsor. The junior and youth are going to be in Hanover, and it hasn't been announced yet, so hopefully I'm not letting the cat out of the bag. The para bowls will be in Brampton. So with the high cost of travel this year, that will be kind of nice for our bowlers. And there have been some changes in the championship format. And so if you want to know what those are, you can look at the conditions of play on our website for the details. And the board's been very busy with a whole bunch of other things in addition to the aforementioned achievements. So we have approved 11 updated policies, plus the new initiatives that I just mentioned. So that adds to that list. We updated the director responsibility and committee terms of reference. And so all of those are posted on our website. So the next item is to establish our quorum. So Rebecca, I've muted everybody, so you'll have to unmute yourself. There you go. So Rebecca, currently the secretary of the board. So
quorum has been established.
Excellent. There's currently 65 people on the call. Not everyone is a voting delegate. We need 28 people for quorum. So yes, we definitely have quorum. And then the next item on the agenda is to determine if there are any conflicts of interest that we need to know about. So Rebecca, go ahead.
Yes, is there any, does anyone need to declare any conflicts of interest at this time? None declared.
There we go. Thank you, Rebecca. So our next item is approval of the agenda. So I've got a screenshot of it here. You should all have it in your package. So when we're doing the motions, I will ask that the person who is moving or seconding a motion let us know their name and their club. So in my case, I would say Karen Atkin, Leaside, if I was moving something. So I need someone to move that the agenda be approved. So Guelph, Blake Skinner's moving, and I need a seconder. You can hold up your hand or you can type in the chat. Oh, yeah. So I see a name that says Stanley Jones, but I see a picture of a woman. So, right. Okay.
It's Carol.
Carol, right. Thank you, Carol. Okay. And so, are there any errors, omissions in the agenda? Okay. So, because this is an online meeting with a really large group, I'm going to do it a bit backwards and ask if there are any objections to approving the agenda. So not hearing any or seeing any hands pop up, I will declare the motion approved. Carol, you can take your hand down now if you wish, and then we can get up to the next. And then the next item is approval of the minutes from last year. So the motion would be that the minutes of the 26th of April 25 annual general meeting as circulated be approved. So I need a mover for that. And Ralph still has his hand up. So Ralph Ellis, James Garden moving. And I need a seconder for the minutes. Liz Reed, that's the first one I saw. Can't recall which club. So Liz Reed is seconding. Are there any errors or omissions in the minutes from last year? Okay, I'll just give you one more moment. Okay, so no errors or omissions. So then are there any anyone who does not wish to approve the minutes as circulated? Oh, yeah, Carol, you've got your hand up. You can unmute yourself or type in the chat. Yeah, okay, so Carol, I'm not sure why you have your hand up. You've got to either tell us or type it in the chat. Oh, you just click on the hand again and it'll go down. Carol asked, how do you take your hand down? So yeah, it's an on-off switch. So click to turn it on and click to turn it off. I'm going to, given that I didn't hear any objections, assume that the minutes are approved for last year. So the next item of business is the election of the directors. So we had a fair number of vacancies this year. We had a couple of people who at the end of their terms decided not to return to the board, primarily due to other demands on their time. There's a number of people that were standing for re-election, and then we've got some new people. So there were a total of 9 positions. We ended up at the end of the day still having 2 vacancies on the board. So before I do the drum roll announcement of the official results, we do continue to have 2 vacancies on the board, and anyone who is interested, I would encourage you to reach out to anyone on the board, shoot me an email and have a chat. The 2 positions are for 1 year only. So you don't have to make a lifelong commitment. It's 1 year. And, we can start you off small as a director at large, and then you can get more involved as you're so inclined. So here is the full board for the coming year. The people with the little blue symbol beside their name are the people who were acclaimed for this year. So I will be continuing as president. Nan Hendren is vice president. Welcome to the board, Roy Robinson. He's not here today because he's bowling. He is our new secretary. James Reimer is continuing as our treasurer. Bill Arthur is continuing. Dan Cashin, welcome to the board, new board member. And then we have 3 directors that are staying on the board: Peter Madison, Rebecca McQueen, and Reese Warren. And Steve Schutnick is returning to board. Thank you, Steve. After a year off, we have term limits on the for our board of directors. So Steve took a somewhat encouraged vacation for a year as chair of the championships, but he is back going strong. So thank you to everyone who has stepped up, and we welcome anyone else who would like to join us. So the next item of business is Nan and the revisions to our bylaws. So I'm going to turn it over to you, Nan.
Thanks, Karen. Good morning, everyone. We just have 4 changes to our bylaws, and they are, for the most part, housekeeping items. I'll try to explain them very briefly. Last year, we had some discussion about when financial statements were to be provided to members before the AGM. So this change in section 3.1 clears up any confusion about when a member can request the financial information, that being 21 days in advance of the meeting, and the board has 10 days in advance of the meeting to provide it. So there's really no actual change to the process, just a clarification of the timelines. In the next section, 4.4, and actually 4.5, this again is just a housekeeping item. The way they were currently written do not make sense because the list of skills and characteristics that we're looking for in our directors are no longer listed in the bylaws. So these sections referred to that. So we've just changed that language to change the reference to a bylaw to a reference to policy 10, which is elections and nominations, which now contain the list of skills and qualifications. So for both 4.4 and 4.5, it's simply a change of language from a reference to a bylaw to a reference to our policy. And 9.1 makes reference to some old wording in 8.2, which is no longer there. So this process is now embedded in 9.1A and B. So the reference to 8.2 is irrelevant and no longer makes sense, as the language in 8.2 is not, it does have nothing to do about voting or changing bylaws. So we're simply removing the language and there's no change to the process there. And the final one, Article 13, is simply changing the date that the bylaws are ratified, should they be approved today. Are there any questions about any of those changes? So really just a cleanup of some of the language in the bylaws. We changed them a year ago, and this is just housekeeping things that I noticed over the year that needed to be corrected to make them current and accurate.
Yeah. Carol Risador, you've got your hand up, so you can either unmute yourself with the little microphone button, or you can type your question in the chat.
Did you have a question there, Carol? You're muted.
Or possibly Carol was being keen and was ready to move that the bylaw changes as proposed be approved.
I think she wants to know how to get her hand down.
Yeah, so just click on the hand. Yeah, just again. Yeah.
Okay, that's great. So because bylaws have to be approved by the members, I'm making a motion to approve these 5 changes to the bylaws at this time.
Right, so
Leanne from Franklin Heritage.
Leanne Franklin from Heritage, other way around. And then it looks like Doug Jaffrey, who I don't know what club you're from. It's on the list, which Rebecca has. You're seconding the motion. So any questions or changes to the motion? Okay, and is there anybody who has any concerns or does not wish to approve the motion? So, not seeing anything in the chat or in the raised hands, I will formally say all in favor. Anybody objecting and for this one? Not hearing anything, I'm going to assume that the motion is carried.
Couple of hands up there, Karen, now.
Yeah, okay. So if those hands were objections or questions, please feel free to type them in the chat. I'm assuming that maybe those were hands saying they were voting in favor. That's the one challenge with these online meetings with a really big group, is counting the approvals, which is why I do it in the reverse. Right. So I'm not hearing any objections. I am going to then declare the motion carried.
Okay, thank you, everyone. If anyone has any questions after the fact, feel free to email me. Thank you very much.
Yeah. And for anyone who doesn't know, the email for all the board directors is on the OLBA website. And so you can find it there to email us. Sorry, I just was writing a note to myself to make sure that I update the emails on the website to reflect our new board. So the next item on our agenda is the Finance Committee. So James, take it away.
Hello, I want to thank everyone for all of their hard work and collaboration with me as we work through the financial processes. With the great help of Kevin, we have done a lot of updating and improving and streamlining of our financial processes to make them tighter, to make sure people get reimbursed faster. Invoices will be coming out on May 1st, so everyone please note that. In terms of notes for the AGM, we ran a small deficit last year and are forecasting again a small deficit. We have substantial cash reserves and we are drawing down on those. Those cash reserves have helped us earn some significant interest over the last 2 years. The deficits are caused, to be frank, by our championships. The non-five-a-side model is very, very, very expensive. We have always lost money on championships, and it is getting more expensive. That is also why we raised our championship fees in an effort to rebalance the allocations of OLBA funds. We've kept the OLBA membership fee flat at $40, but championships have gone up slightly to championship registration fees have gone up slightly to balance costs. But also we are, as Karen noted in her presentation, making some investments in strategic priorities that will, on coaching, on youth, on umpiring, that will allow us to achieve our long-term goals. So that is why we are running a small but manageable deficit. As a result, next slide, please. We have 3 motions. We have the financial statements, the budget, and continuing working with our auditor, who we've worked with for many years.
So before we actually do the motions, are there questions for James? James mentioned that the invoices to club for membership fees are going out next week. Yep. The fee remained the same this year. Yes. Just a heads up to clubs to think about this for the coming year is we would expect that next year there will be an increase. Bowls Canada has let us know that they will be increasing our fees, and that's a substantial portion of our budget. And other things, as you all are well too aware, the costs of lots of other things are going up. So I would expect that the fees will be going up next year. And so you will see that over the course of the winter. We'll
Yeah,
give
that
you
is a
ample
good
heads
point.
up.
For your multi-year planning, the fee will be going almost certainly going up, not this year, but next year. Do take that into account and kind of plan your membership fees. As for the question in the chat, it is in the first line championships. We made $57,000 from our championships last year. Tough to compare to 2024 because of 5 aside. I do have other information that breaks down kind of the per competitor cost, per individual competitor cost. You know, for example, we lost basically $13 on every single person who registered for one of our championships this season. I can provide that if people want, but that's a separate conversation. I don't want to get pulled into the economics of championships.
Right.
Yes, on the draft financial statement, it is the first line championships. The increase in 2 years or the championship fee increase? Because this year the membership fee is not increasing.
Yeah, and it'd be hard to say how much the membership fee will increase next year because we do not know how much BC is going to increase their fee.
Yeah.
We will.
I can't predict that. That's a great point, Karen. That being said, I will, and I've said this publicly in many forums, your club fees should be going up every year. The market rate for club fees is between $240 to $360 a year. That's what most sports, like if you do based on what most sports charge adults to play sports, it's between that amount. Bob, I'll get to you in a second. And if your club is not charging between $240 and $360, you should develop a 3 to 5 year plan on how you're going to increase your fees to charge that market rate. I know there are clubs out there that operate at like 70 to 90% below that fee, and I think one of the challenges we face as a sport is we starve ourselves. People are not cost conscious when it comes to sports. They are doing it because it is fun. I know of people who, if your fee is too low, they will show up, pay, and never be heard from again, because if it's less than $200, it's forgettable money. They'll just never follow up on it. So charging market rates, I highly like. Even if the fees don't go up in 2 years, your club fees should be going up this year and next year. The increase, Bob, in the executive category is a mix of 2 factors. Kevin worked some longer hours, as well as hiring some students to help with the SAM rollout. As for Cheryl's question about average age at smaller clubs and the members of those clubs, I think that's for a different area of the meeting. Karen has that numbers, but we can get into that in a different area. I believe an SC has his hand raised. Do you have a question?
Yes, I got a question about your web costs jumping to 7,000 from 2,500.
Yeah, we rebuilt the website. So that was a one-time fee. We hired a contractor to come in, and if you go to the OLBA website today, substantial stylistic work improvements have been done. The revamp is not fully done, but that's kind of the one-off costs that we are drawing down our cash reserves to make investments. As anyone remembers, our old website was quite dated.
Thank you.
And so this was about improving it. Lori, I believe you. Nice to hear from you. I believe. A long time no see, Lori. I believe your hand is raised.
Yeah. Yes, my question is, how come administration fee went up? I know you said partly because of Kevin, but it went up almost $60,000.
Well, yeah, like I said, it's a mix of Kevin. It's a mix of students. We had more students last year. It's a mix of the admin support.
Is it possible to get a breakdown of that?
I can, Lori, I'll provide you a breakdown of it.
Okay, thank you.
And then some of it is just a different categorization. So something that might have been in category A last year is now in category B this year. So that's just resulted in some of the categories looking like they're bigger. Because if you look at the overall, the overall budget hasn't increased dramatically. Yeah.
Also, the marketing. What did we do for $30,000?
We ran a series of campaigns. I think Bill may in the agenda. Forgive me, I did not sleep well last night. I've got small kids, so if this is incorrect, forgive me. But I believe Bill will be talking about his marketing efforts later in this meeting. We did a couple of ad buys across a range of media properties to drive membership and drive membership growth.
Yeah, Bill, go ahead. You've got your hand up. Oh, you just have to unmute yourself, Bill.
Yep. Okay, I just deal with that one now. Laurie, for the first time ever, we did an advertising campaign. We had no idea how successful it would be. We did it through the Zoomer organization. We ran magazine ads, we ran radio ads, and we did a direct mail shot to subscribers. It wasn't as successful as I hoped. One of the difficulties in measuring it was I'm going to make a general point here about clubs recruiting people. We don't always know, and I apologize because some clubs are better, but some clubs are not very good at finding out where their new members are coming from. So it's very difficult to measure it. But on the whole, that advertising campaign wasn't as successful as I hoped. The direct email aspect of it was successful in raising awareness of lawn bowling. We are not repeating that. It was the first time we did it. I worked on the basis that if you don't try something, you'll never find out whether it works or not. And so that was the reason it was so high last year, Laurie.
Okay,
Yeah.
thank you, Bill. What areas did you do the advertising in?
It was it was in
Radio
the
and
sorry, it was in the Zoomer magazine. It was on their classic radio channel, and as I say, it was a direct email shot.
Yeah, so it's province-wide, Laurie. So,
Yeah.
so this was, if you will, a pilot or an experiment of sorts, and that we'd never done a province-wide advertising campaign. Clubs have done all of the advertising and recruiting locally over the years. You know, we've heard from clubs that you know, some of them are struggling with regard to membership. Bill did a great job on identifying an opportunity, and we thought, let's try it. As Bill said, you never know whether it'll work or not until you try it. And so we've done it, and we've had some learnings from it, and so we will use that to inform what we do going forward. But the landscape within which we're doing all of what we do, including membership recruitment and advertising, has changed dramatically. Social media has had a big impact and change on things. So we need to figure out how best to leverage those channels and attract people. Particularly, I'm in this category. You know, I am in that, you know, I'm not young anymore, and the average age of our bowlers is in the 60s. We would like to be recruiting more younger bowlers to the sport to help continue to revitalize and sustain the sport. And so we have to use different mechanisms if we're going to do that. So we have to try things, and we will periodically fail, but who knows? The next idea might be the best thing since sliced bread.
thank you, Bill, for all your hard work. That's wonderful. Thank you.
You're welcome, Laurie.
Yeah, Andrew, you've got your hand up.
Yeah, I think one thing that I noticed this year, which really disappointed me, is the Atlantic Challenge down in wherever it was, Windsor. Big thing for the sport. I mean, the first time it's been here in how long? 40 years. There is absolutely no coverage whatever, even on local television, local radio, CBC. They have zero interest in the sport, and I think with what we really need to be looking at, not only, I mean, I think the age, you know, my views on the age factor that we need to be looking at, but I think we need to be looking at far more mainstream. How do we get CBC interested? Or any of the sports networks, how do we get them interested in saying, all right, we've got this really, well, I guess it's not exciting, but in big terms, but we have this really important international event happening here, and you're not covering anything. And I think there's something wrong there, that there's kind of a block between the sport itself and mainstream and adjacent stream media.
Yeah,
So-
you make a great point. And what I would say is, if anybody on the call today has or knows somebody who has media contacts, let us know, because the best way to get your foot in the door with some of that kind of thing is if you know somebody. I know that in out Coburg Way, Bill has done a little bit with Kojiko, because he has had has a contact there, and so they did some local streaming of some of the events there. I did share Ontario specific information with Brittany for the from Bowls Canada for the publicity for the Atlantic Challenge, hoping that might spur some more sort of kind of local media coverage, but that didn't go anywhere. So if people can like, we know the channels, but we need the, call Susie or Frank at here, and here's their numbers. That would help us out.
And if I can weigh in on this, so and then I think we need to move on, because we have quite a full in agenda. Andrew, I have a very, very good friend of mine, is the producer for the Ottawa TSN 1200 sports channel, the radio station. I've talked to him a lot about how do we get Bulls on covered in sports. One thing we need to remember is media has no money. They have no money for risks. They have no time. They have no bandwidth. They are being overwhelmed by everyone all of the time. Every reporter, there's no resources in mainstream media now, and they're being completely overwhelmed. The best people are people like John Cullen. Like, even if you look at curling gets almost, if you actually look at the number of paid curling reporters in Canada, it's like 1.5, and one of them is just doing it on Patreon. Like, John Cullen basically does it independently and does it mostly as part of being a comedian. I think we need to be very realistic in our relationships with mainstream media. It can be done. Also, we need to realize that we need to make ourselves very attractive to mainstream media. So that means short games. That means exciting moments. That means highlights. That means kind of intensity and eyeballs. The media does not want 18N for forest games. That's just the reality. Guelph's comment about cheering music. Absolutely, we should be playing music throughout all of our games and creating a crowd atmosphere. That is how you get the media. Whether is that good bowling or is not, is quite frankly, from the media's perspective, they don't care. They want eyeballs, attention. It's very sugar rushy, to be perfectly frank. And if you look at what Australia does, if you look at the BPL, if you look at the Bulls Ultimate Challenge, that's what gets eyeballs. But I think we've slightly moved away from the finance motions, which I know are everyone's favorite motions. So I think I need to move all of these as the rep from West Toronto, Karen, and then I think I need seconders for all of these.
Yeah. So if you want to go ahead with moving motion 4, James. So the financial statements for the period ending October 31st, 2025, along with the auditor's report as circulated, be approved. So James is the mover, and we need a seconder, and it looks like Lorraine McLean put her hand up first. So we'll get you as the seconder, Lorraine. So are there any questions about the financial statements of the auditor's report beyond what we've already covered? Okay, and so is there anyone who does not approve of the motion being carried? Okay, so given I don't hear any objections, I will consider the motion carried. And that all's in favor. So the next motion, number 5, is that the 2026 budget as circulated be approved. So James said he would move that. So we need a seconder. William Jackson was first with his hand up. Thank you, William. Any questions about the budget? We've covered some of them already. Any other ones? Okay. Any objections to approving motion number 5? Okay, so I will consider that motion approved. So number 6 is to approve the appointment of James K. Jeffrey as our auditor for the coming year. So James is moving that, and Guelph got their hand up first this time. We've got a little race to see who gets their hand up first as the seconder. So any questions about having James Jeffrey as our auditor? It was a little confusing having James as our treasurer and James as our auditor, but Mr. Jeffrey did a good job. So, okay. Any objections to approving him? Not hearing any objections, I'm going to consider the motion carried. Thank you, James.
Thank you, Karen, and thank you, everyone. I'm excited for another great season.
Right. Okay. And now on to the nice part of the meeting, which is our awards portion. And Deb Holdsworth, our outgoing director, who has been our awards chair for the last 2 years, unfortunately couldn't be here today. We're actually dividing up how we're doing this. So the very first award that we are doing is the Volunteer of the Year, which is Rebecca. You were going to do this.
Good morning, everyone. There were 5 nominees for the Volunteer of the Year. It was a difficult decision as all were worthy candidates. It is my honor and pleasure to present this year's Volunteer of the Year award to Barry Montgomery of the Lambeth Lawn Bowling Club. Here are some of the things that his nominees from Lambeth said. One of Barry's most notable contributions is the annual Men's and Ladies Championship. It is held each fall to recognize outstanding bowler achievements. Since approximately 2015, Barry has taken the lead in designing, organizing, and delivering this event. Through his leadership, this championship has become a highlight of the club calendar and a meaningful way to celebrate excellence in the sport. Barry's volunteer contributions span decades and multiple clubs across Ontario, having bowled since the age of 12. He has given back to the sport in numerous roles, including director, president, head greenskeeper, tournament director, sponsor coordinator, draw master, and webmaster. His willingness to step in any role and his depth of knowledge has made him an invaluable asset wherever he has been involved. Barry first served as director and president beginning in 1982, returning to these leadership roles in 2012 to 2015, and again in 2019. His expertise in greenskeeping began in 1993 under the guidance of local golf course professionals, and he later served as head greenskeeper from 2018 to 2021. Following this, Barry took on his role of tournament director, where he managed scheduling and built strong relationships with sponsors, efforts he continued through this year. Barry was also instrumental in establishing the club's original website in the early 2000s, giving the organization an important online presence. From 2023 to 2025, he also served as draw master, ensuring smooth and well-organized play. In addition to his many volunteer roles, Barry, alongside Doris, continues to support the club by sponsoring the tournament. Above all, Barry has consistently been someone the club can rely on, always willing to step in, contribute, and help wherever needed. His dedication, reliability, and willingness to step up whenever needed, truly embodied the spirit of volunteerism. Barry, on behalf of the Ontario Lawn Bowling Association, Lambeth Lawn Bowling Club, and the Ontario bowling community, thank you for your years of commitment and all that you continue to do. Congratulations on this well-deserved recognition.
And I believe that Barry is on the call. So if you want to unmute yourself, Barry, and say something, you are welcome to do so. You just have to click the little microphone button. Okay.
Okay, let's get on.
Okay, so I would echo Rebecca's congratulations to Barry and also that we had all the other nominees were very strong candidates, and it's a reflection of the how the strong field of volunteers that we have. And I just realized, Bob, you've got your hand up. Did you want to say something? Okay, so the next award that we have is going to be presented by our very much appreciated outgoing Director of Greens, Don Mortman. So take it away, Don.
Thank you, Karen. This year's Greenskeeper of the Year award goes to Ted Merritt from the Windsor Lawn Bowling Club. Here is what the members from his club had to say. Ted has worked for years as the greenskeeper at our club in Windsor, and his efforts have produced world-class lawn bowling conditions. He is someone who is at the club every morning to look over the greens, organize the volunteers, and ensure the machines are running and well-maintained. Ted ensures that the greens are well fertilized, sprayed when necessary, and well-groomed for every event, whether that is club activities or world-class competition. Over the past few years, he has been in charge of the leveling of the greens and replacement of the new backboards, and is always researching new techniques to keep the greens running well, even during very trying weather conditions. Of course, Ted is also very involved in many other club matters, as are most greenskeepers, including being a board member and volunteering his time with all events at our club. Ted is very well deserving of the award for Greenskeeper of the Year, as he is someone who has generously given his time, labor, and expertise to make our club an envy across the province. Please join me in congratulating Ted Merritt as this year's recipient of the Greenskeeper of the Year award. Unfortunately, Ted is not able to join us today, but he has requested we share these words. This is very much a surprise. I am completely honored. Not sure how many greenskeepers or clubs there are in Ontario, but they all deserve at least a part of this honor. I am sure all are doing their very best they can with the resources they have, both financially and physically, with their help. Thank you. Thank you, Karen.
Right. Yeah, so Ted was actually had several people from his club that nominated him. So he certainly at his club, he was very much appreciated. And so the next award coincidentally goes to the same club. So I have the pleasure of presenting the President's Award. And this one doesn't have really clear specific criteria for it that somebody has to meet. And so I have chosen this year to present this award to the Windsor Lawn Bowling Club. And so as has been alluded to a couple of times, this past year, Windsor successfully hosted, along with Bowls Canada, the first international team event in Canada since 1994. So that was the Atlantic International Challenge in September. The competing nations included Canada, Ireland, Scotland, and the United States. It was a team event with singles, pairs, triples, and fours matches for men and women. And as well, for the para bowlers, there were singles, pairs, and triples. And Ontario was very well represented on Team Canada by Kelly McCarahan, Bailey Van Stein, Louise McLean with her director, Carolyn Campbell, Ryan Bester, Eric Gallipo, and Andy Caldwell. So that was a wonderful event. And then immediately after the event, Windsor hosted the Zares International Open, and it had more than 110 bowlers. Sort of about half of them were players from the Atlantic International Challenge, and then the other half were Ontario bowlers. And this event was spearheaded by Windsor itself. It wasn't a BCB event. And last, by no means least in the sort of the list of things for Windsor over the last year is that in addition to hosting the Ontario Provincial Championships both last year and this year, they will be hosting the Senior Canadians this year. And of course, none of those events could have happened without a really strong organizing committee and a cadre of volunteers. I can't name them all. I was down in Windsor, but I didn't have an opportunity to meet them all. I met a few. I would specifically like to mention two people. So Wayne Wright is the club president, and Don Caswell was the chair of the organizing committee. And I think it was their leadership and all the volunteers collectively that allowed the club to achieve these really significant milestones. So congratulations, Windsor, and thank you for setting some good examples this year. And I actually totally overlooked one thing. So one of the things that Windsor did is they used the streaming equipment that the OLBA has, and they streamed from the events. And so we've got some lessons learned from that, and we're hoping that we can possibly leverage those learnings to stream some of the provincial championships this year. It won't quite get us the same kind of earned media that we've been talking about previously, but it's a start down that journey. If anybody's in the neighborhood of where a provincial championship's going to be held and wants to help out with the streaming, just reach out to us and let us know. So congratulations, Windsor. And I cannot recall offhand who from Windsor is here. I think both Don and Wayne might be. So if one of you is here and you would like to say something, Don is here. And so if you would like to say something, please do so.
Thank you, Karen. This is greatly appreciated. But before I say a thank you on behalf of the Windsor Lawn Bowling Club, I just want to take a time for myself and to say congratulations to Reese Warren on being successfully becoming an ITO. I fortunately was representing World Bowls at Long Beach and saw him go through everything that he had to do, and there's no question he was head and shoulders above everyone else that was there. So it's a great benefit to certainly Ontario and to Canada to have someone in that position once again. So Karen, thank you for recognizing the Windsor Lawn Bowling Club. And as you mentioned, the strength is in the members you have and the volunteers. Our board is a tremendous board that takes ideas and moves on them. They're not satisfied with what we have. They see it as a continuous improvement project. So there's always something new and great. This year's no different. With the events we're hosting provincially and nationally, but also some of the things we've implemented that will come out. I encourage everyone to take that journey down to the 401, down to the toe of the boot, to see what Windsor and Essex County is all about. I'm quite confident that you will be welcomed at our club. You'll enjoy playing there and the hospitality. It's just a great club to be. I've been involved in it since 1982, and I've just seen improvements all the way. So thank you once again, Karen, for making this recognition of the President's Award.
My pleasure. So we are now at the point in the meeting where we're going to do a very short break So based on my watch, it is 11:05. So we will resume at 11:15. We'll give people a chance for a little nature break. And we will be back at 11:15. Okay, so I will get us started again. And I was actually a little quick off the mark with declaring our break, and forgot a couple of awards. So it's actually a nice way to bookend our break. So the next award that we have is our membership award. So we've fine-tuned our criteria for this. So we now look at both recruitment and retention of new members when determining this award. And we have Sarah Van Stein from VS Sports to thank for being our sponsor for this award. Thank you, Sarah. And so the recipient for the award this year is the Preston Lawn Bowling Club. They had 54 new members, and they had a retention rate of 74%. The provincial average for retention is somewhere in the neighborhood of about 52%. So they well exceeded that retention rate, and 54 in of itself is a great achievement. So well done, Preston, for that. And so we will be following up with you with regard to your new set of bowls that you'll be getting. And there's an honorable mention to 3 clubs, all of whom had a goodly number of new members and and stellar retention rates. And those are Muskoka, Heritage Greens, and Port Dalhousie. So well done to those 3 clubs as well. You know, we get 1,700 new members a year, which is fantastic. But these clubs have all shown that you can actually do a great job with retaining those members as well. And this year, the past year and coming up this summer, I have been or will be presenting anniversary plaques at a number of clubs. And so we've had a couple of clubs that have had some pretty significant milestones, ranging from Peterborough, which is celebrating 125 years, along with Q Beach. Balmy Beach, Elora, and Sarnia are all celebrating 120 years. And then Almont, Aurora, Port Dalhousie, and Beamsville also have big anniversaries. So that's pretty amazing for sports clubs to continue around for that long. It's kind of interesting. We now have anniversary dates for all clubs in the province, thanks to our wonderful historian Dave Burrows, who's a font of knowledge. So the average age of clubs in Ontario is 101 years. The oldest club is Thistle Lawn Bowling Club in London, which was established in 1879. And you can see just the sort of the groupings of the clubs in terms of their age. So, you know, we do have a number of newer clubs, which is fantastic, but we've got a lot of long-standing clubs that have been around for many years. So congratulations to everyone for continuing to persevere through a lot of things over that period of time. And so we've had our break. So this one's really short. It's done. So for our next agenda item, I wanted to get someone other than myself to do some speaking. So Bill Arthur, who is our Director of Marketing and Membership, is going to touch base on some of our achievements towards our strategic plan. So take it away, Bill.
Thank you, Karen. Good morning once again, everybody. I'm going to talk briefly about 2 sections of the strategic plan. One is tools for member club support and bowler recruitment, and the other is communication strategies and channels. So effectively, I'm going to be looking at mainly items 1 and 3 on this slide. Next slide, please, Karen. So, as it says there, a key element of this strategic plan is improving communication. And one of the main ways we've done that this year, and it was referred to earlier on, is the new website. I think you will all agree that it's got a more modern interface and improved navigation. I think there's still work to do, and as it says at the bottom of that slide, feedback is welcome. So there was some feedback in the chat earlier on about that. It was very difficult to find things, I think, on the old website. I think the navigation is much better on this website, as I say. For example, if you go to programs, you will find marketing and recruitment, and you will find all the items regarding recruitment and marketing under that heading. I tried, from my perspective, to make recruitment and marketing items as clear as possible. We've done quite a lot on that. I would encourage you to have a look at those first of all. I know it's very easy just to think, oh, what's the answer to this question, and contact somebody. But my own view is that there's lots of useful, clear information on there, and I'd encourage people to look at that and before you ask questions. Having said that, I'm always welcome to take questions. We've looked at improving communication and organizational capacity, and one of the ways we've done this is through the webinars, and we've listed there the ones that have been done. I'm not going to go through them in detail, but I believe they've been very successful, and I think they've been well received by people. We record all the webinars, and in doing that, it meets two needs. It meets the needs of people who can't attend a webinar, and it also allows participants to go back and have a look at something. So if there's something you know was covered, you can go back and find the relevant section on the website and follow it up there. The webinar isn't the end of things. It's the beginning to try and answer your questions. And as I say, if you've got things that occur to you, contact the presenter of the webinar, or go back and have a look first of all at the video and see if you can get the answer from there. We do plan more webinars in the future. We haven't got, there's one coming up next weekend, which I'll be coming to in a minute, about Facebook training. If anybody's got particular subjects on which they would like us to run a webinar, please let us have those views, and we'll see what we can do to help. Membership recruitment guide. This is one of the things we've put on the website. A lot of the recruitment stuff on the old website was all over the place. What I've tried to do is bring it all together in one place. So if you go to programs and membership, you will find a recruitment guide, which is quite comprehensive, I believe. But also we've done a shortened checklist so that when you're looking at what you want to do for recruitment, you can just use that checklist as a quick reminder of things to do. I think one of the main things I would like to stress about that guide, the strategic planning and the targeted marketing. It's very easy to just say, okay, we're gonna have open houses and we're gonna get some new members. And you know, after you've run your recruitment and your open houses, you've got 15 new members. You think, okay, that's great, we've got 15 new members. Could you have got more? Could you have got 20 new members? And I think that's one of the things I mean by strategic planning and goal setting. In my opinion, you need to set a goal for what you're going to achieve each season. If you achieve that goal, how did you achieve it? If you didn't achieve that goal, why did you not achieve it? So I think it's just a general, make sure you've got a plan and not just think, okay, we're going to have an open house this year and that's it. Next slide, please. We continue to support clubs through the cooperative advertising program. I think Karen said we have 107 clubs. Last year, only 19 clubs took advantage of the program. I don't know why that is, because there's free money for you there. So if you're not aware of it, please have a look again on the website at the policy and what you need to do to be able to get a grant from us. We give you up to 75% of your cost to a maximum of $500. And we have a budget of $10,000 for clubs for the year. If you're not using it, either have a look at the policy or give me a call and I can help you with advice on how to take advantage of that program. And the next one, please. I mentioned that we're going to hold a webinar next week now on Facebook, Training Guides. Now, again, this is something we're trying to do in line with the strategic plan, in looking at different ways of helping you. Now, I know that there will be lots of people out there in clubs who use Facebook, and probably some real experts out there as well. But there will be lots of clubs who just look at Facebook, who use Facebook, and are not using it to its full extent. And this training is designed to help you make more of it. Now, I'm just going to give you one example. I run the Facebook account for my own club. I believe I've learned quite a lot from the training guides already. We have at Coburg have not advertised anywhere but Facebook and our website this year. And we currently have 50 members signed up for lessons. And most of that has come from Facebook. I just give you that as an example of how you can utilize social media to get greater outreach for your club. And I would encourage you, I see something in the chat that only 25 people have registered for the course next week. I really will encourage you to sign up for that course. It might be that you don't learn anything new, but we have so many clubs that have got new boards and directors on their boards and volunteers who are not experienced in running a lawn bowling club. And I would encourage you, those people, to do things like the Facebook training guides, look at the recruitment guides, and look at the retention guides on the website. And that's basically all I'm going to say today. I hope that I'll be speaking to many of you again next week on the Facebook webinar, and I hope it's more than 25 people. We're trying our best to move ahead and be more up to date with our communications and the way we communicate with people. And I would just conclude by saying, please let me have any feedback at all on recruitment, marketing, retention, and the use of social media. Somebody's made a comment, will you also be offering training guides for Instagram accounts? Not at the moment, but that's something I can look at. I would add that Lucy Smith, who we've purchased these training packages from, she specializes in lawn bowl marketing in England, and she does offer other services. And we can, it may be that once if you've attended the training next week and you've got other needs and you want to purchase some services of your own, you would be able to do so. Yeah, thanks, Guelph. You mentioned that it can be linked direct to Facebook, allowing cross-posting. Yeah, I know that. I just haven't done it yet. So, but it's something that we will probably address next week. And that's about it from me. I just ask if any questions, anybody wants to speak or put something in the chat, I'll do my best to answer.
So I put the website up and just showing people, you know, where, for example, some of the stuff that Bill has just mentioned is there on the website, and it's hopefully easy to find.
Yeah, I think it is a lot easier to find. There's still work to do on it, as I say. One or two of the things I would like to improve, but it takes time. But we will get there. But I think the website is a huge improvement on what we used to have.
Yeah. So we'll just go back to our slides. There we go. And so Rebecca is going to talk a little bit about grants.
Good morning once again, everyone. So just a few things about the grants. The one thing that we want to make sure that we would like to say thank you for all the efforts over the last year that everyone, that all clubs have applied for grants. I know it is quite the task. I know some are getting, it's easier and easier every year to apply for these. because we already know what we need to write. But for those that have, thank you. For those that are struggling, that you don't know where to start, I'm going to say this multiple times. We're here to help. Please reach out to us. grants@olba.ca. And then, of course, congratulations to all those clubs that have been successful. What is your secret? No. So for those that have been successful, please, yes, continue to send us emails to let us know. Even if you have your application, send it to us, because this could help another club that it has been struggling. For those that have been declined this year, and I know it's tough, it's difficult, but please continue to apply. Last year, we might not have been successful, but guess what? This year, we might become successful. Just a few key reminders, though, and this is kind of the general consensus, what I'm hearing from clubs that have been denied this year. Funders want us to confirm that we are legitimate organizations. So when I say that, if you're incorporated, make sure to file your annual returns with the Ontario Business Registry. It is important. If you're not incorporated, make sure to get those letters of community support, right? It's just to kind of say that, yes, we are legit, right? Anything you can to give to these funders helps us. And then the other one, carefully review the current funding guidelines. Make sure to read up as what is eligible and what is not. Other than that, if you have any questions, please reach out. Reach out today in the chat if you have questions now, and we'll get to those. But other than that, yes, continue to apply. And I wish everyone good luck for this year for our applications.
Any questions for Rebecca? Yep, Jonathan, go ahead and unmute.
Yeah, just a quick question. We were successful in getting grants from New Horizons for seniors, which was excellent. What other sources of funding is generally available for unincorporated recreational clubs? Because for many grantors or funders, we are not a so-called qualifying donee.
Jonathan, that is a good question, let me tell you. New Horizons, definitely number one, but number two, your community. So, for example, the Lions Club, the Rotary. I'm trying to think of other, like anything municipality, like for example, I can only think of ones that we have here in, I'm located in Sarnia, everyone. So for those that don't know, but for example, like we've got the Alex Gallery Foundation. Some of them that you have to read what the requirements on, but some of them do say that you do not need to be incorporated. Thank you for your question, but now I get to make that plug too. For clubs that are not incorporated, if you are highly thinking about this year, please also reach out to us. We've got a program. Ontario Lawn Bowls Association has got a program to help clubs that if you are thinking of incorporating, that we're here to help guide you. And there's a small monetary to help you get incorporated. And I highly suggest that for clubs that are not, that this might be something you might look into for this year, because it does. Being incorporated opens you up to a lot more potential funding opportunities. Yeah. Thanks, Jonathan.
Any other questions for Rebecca? Okay. So our next item on our agenda is Brittany Gordon from Bowls Canada is here. And she is going to, she has a presentation. So Kevin, do you want to do those slides? I'll stop presenting. And Brittany, take it away.
Sure. Thanks, Karen. And hello, everyone. Thanks for having me today.
Excuse me here. It's going to take me some time to get that going.
I'll just keep talking, I guess, then, Kevin, if that's okay. I'll use the time up front then, again, just to thank everyone for welcoming me into this space. So welcoming to your annual meeting and giving me some time to just share a bit about what Bulls Canada is about, what we're looking to do, some highlights from last year. But I will start off on, I just want to say a quick congratulations to all the award winners this year. Specifically, I've had some great direct contact with Ted and his wonderful greenskeeping skills and his greenskeeping crew down at Windsor, as well as Dawn and Wayne at the Windsor Lawn Bowling Club, which when my slides get up here, we'll talk about briefly as well. But it's just great to see the Ontario clubs so active. And as well, I will be mentioning it as well in my slides, but a preemptive thanks to the clubs that have stepped forward to support Bulls Canada in the hosting of our national events this year. So just a bit about who we are. I've met some of you before. I was scouring the names as I logged on this morning at 10 and was here last year, and so hopefully I'll get to meet all of you at some point. But who we are is we're the national governing body for lawn bowls in Canada, recognized by the federal government and their department, Sport Canada. We have RC AAA status, which is a registered charitable amateur athletic association that allows us to take in donations, provide receipts for those. Our mission is to provide leadership that facilitates inclusive participation and excellence for the sport of bowls in Canada. And our role is leadership in development, governance, competition, and high performance. So we really do scan that national level and then work collaboratively and follow with our provincial partners who then deliver programming locally all the way up to their provincial programming that sends their athletes to our national championships. Next slide, if possible, please. Sorry, there's some trigger points. You can just click ahead, Kevin, for one more. Yeah, thanks. So obligations as the national sport organization in Canada, we, like all the other NSOs that receive federal funding, have an obligation that we must adhere to. So our obligation is to increase the opportunities to participate in quality sport activities for all Canadians, including underrepresented groups, to increase the capacity of the Canadian sports system to systematically achieve world-class results at the highest international competitions available to those sports, to contribute to the provision of technical sport leadership within the Canadian sports system, and to advance Canadian interests, values, and ethics in sport at home and abroad. Next slide, please. So just a few of the highlights from 2025. Next slide. At the grassroots and development side of things, the Community Sport for All was a grant that we received in 2024 through to the beginning of 2025. What we did with that funding was launch the diversity and inclusion pillar. So for those of you who might not be aware, Bulls Canada has a club accreditation program that is nationwide called Belonging in Bowls, and it consists of 4 pillars with a Safe Sport Foundation. I'm going to talk about the program a little bit more here in a few slides, but we launched the pillar with the creation of what we called the Club and Community Scan Toolkit. So the purpose of the toolkit is to support clubs in assessing their strengths, aligning with community needs, and fostering collaboration. Its application is to enhance organizations' capacities, broaden local impact, and contributes to sustainable membership growth. So hearing some of the work that Bill and the group have been doing with their series of webinars, as well as just membership, that membership guide that you referenced, Bill, I think our diversity and inclusion toolkit would be a really great supplemental resource to maybe clubs to use. So it is available for clubs to give it a try. We're piloting it with 6 clubs across Canada right now. We'll take some feedback and update it once that happens. Happy to announce that there was an increase in the participation across the country. So our registered members increased by about 9.5%, reaching over 15,500. And National Bowls Day last year, the theme was Bowls Your Way, and it highlighted all the ways that we can participate and enjoy lawn bowls. From newcomers trying the sport for the first time to long-standing members, everybody to competitive bowlers. I think we had a competitive tournament in one of the clubs, and everything in between. We were encouraging Canadians to bowl their way. Last year, we had 64 clubs across Canada participate. And once again, you know, National Bowls Day, from a national perspective, we were able to unite those clubs and celebrate everybody playing bowls in some capacity on the same day. The average number of participants at each club was 50. So I'll speak to it a little bit more, talking about the club National Bowls Days coming up this year. On to the next slide, please. So just some high performance and athlete recognition from 2025. Next slide, please. So a big one for us, and I want to touch on some points that were discussed in some of the earlier conversations. So we did host with our partner in sport, the Windsor Lawn Bowling Club, and some support from the Ontario Lawn Bowls Association, the 2025 Atlantic International Challenge. Karen kind of already went through the details. There was 4 nations competing. This year included, for the first time in its 2-year history, the para bowl side of things. So special shout out to Louise and Andy. I'm not sure if they're on today's call, but there are Ontario-based para bowls athletes who participated in the Atlantic Challenge. So the event was a great success from a hosting perspective, from a competing countries perspective. They were at awe at Bowls Canada and specifically the Windsor Lawn Bowling Club's ability to host and run an event. It is only in its 2nd year, but we definitely set a bar very high. The teams are headed to Ireland in 2026, and I am happy to announce that we will be hosting again in Canada, club to be determined, in 3 years' time. So in 2029, Canada will host the Atlantic International Challenge once again, and we will go out to tender for a host club for that time. So clubs in Ontario, if you're interested, certainly we'll be in contact, and we'll look to partner again. If you could just go to the next slide. So I just want to give a really special thank you to the Windsor Lawn Bowling Club, Don Caswell, Wayne Wright, and everybody involved at that for their excellent support. Their spectacular greens, as you know, kind of connected to the fact that Ted got that Greenskeeper of the Year award, and the amazing members without whom the event would not have been able to run. Just to tie it back a bit to some of the earlier conversations around the lack of coverage at the AIC, we too were really disappointed in that. It wasn't from a lack of effort. I can assure you, the messaging that we're receiving back from news stations, and James touched on it a bit, is that the capacity to come to our events is quite low. So we have an onus and a responsibility to produce our own content and give it to them to put out there. So I just wanted to share some of the streaming stats, and I just want to thank the incredible crew that was down in Windsor for all the work that they did. So we had 4 days of streaming. We had 3 matches per day with a total of 17.3 thousand total views over those 4 days. You know, those are some of the highest numbers that we've achieved from a Bowls Canada perspective. And certainly it's great to see those are numbers we can now go back to TV stations, to local stations, and share that data with them. It's data we didn't have before, that there's an appetite there. Certainly we constantly look at our partners to the other hemisphere when we talk about Australia and New Zealand. They've invested hundreds of thousands of dollars in producing streaming platforms specifically for bowls. that they produce content year round for bowls. So yes, we would love to achieve that, but we're a bit of a ways off of that. So we'll continue to produce our own content in the form of streaming through our national championships, any international competitions that come up. And I am happy to report, again, connecting back to the earlier conversation I saw in the chat about Commonwealth Games. And so the Commonwealth Games are coming up, and I'll talk about that in a little bit. But a lot of it is about connection, and we do have a meeting with CBC. We have a meeting coming up with CBC to talk about coverage for Commonwealth Games. And our hope is that they'll see the marketability of bowls. And now, mind you, it's a different format that's being played at Commonwealth Games. But what we're hoping is that contact will carry us through in terms of establishing a relationship with them, even if it's just in small ways that we can build upon, because it really does come down to who do you know, and do they remember you, and can you provide them that content? So that's our starting point. We're going to work on that. We're going to leverage that with the CBC and see what we can do. But certainly there are 62 registered national sport organizations in Canada, and they are all reaching out to CBC at some point, and TSN and Sportsnet to get some airtime, and it's just not always the case, but we'll work and continue to work. And if anybody, I think it was said earlier, if anybody has any direct contacts, happy to connect with you and discuss how maybe we can reach out to them. Next slide, please. So I won't go through all the very great work that our athletes have been, our high performance squad athletes have been doing, and Canadian athletes not part of our high performance program have been doing. But I just wanted to give a special shout out to Owen Kirby, who represented Canada and represented Ontario at the Champion of Champs in 2025 and placed third. It was a great showing. The Canadian athletes were watching his semifinal match at the banquet or the gala of the closing of the AIC. It was a really exciting time. So that was an exciting moment. And I just wanted to give amongst all the excellent achievements that you see on the screen there, Ryan Bester was part of the first class inducted into the World Bowls Hall of Fame. So just a special shout out to him on that, as well as we have 3 athletes on our HP squad that achieved some significant milestones representing Canada. John Brazier, who's from Ontario, achieved 50 games representing Canada. Emma Boyd from BC achieved 50 games, and Kelly McCarahan achieved an incredible 200 games played representing Canada. So it's quite an achievement our athletes are having across around the globe and internationally. Next slide. So this was alluded to, but some of the work that was done in 2025 was the championship structure review. So since the initial changes that began in 2023 and implemented in 2024, a comprehensive secondary review had been underway. I just want to extend our sincere appreciation to our provincial partners, National Championship Evaluation Task Force, and the Board of Directors from Bowls Canada for their collaboration and their contributions to getting us to the point that we are. This work was guided by some meaningful input, some really tough conversations, some reality checks, and ensuring that the future structure reflects the needs for the bowling community in its current state. So while it was much delayed and took a while for us to get there, we have finalized it in January, a multi-year championship structure, which we agreed to as provincial partners and the national body to stick with for a couple years to provide some stability, namely providing stability for clubs to host and for participants to plan appropriately. So we are in that position now. We have had to put a very tight timeline on hosting for 2026. Once we make the final announcements around all the hosting for this year, we actually will be putting out a call for hosts for 2027. Again, this is because we know our membership, we know the clubs benefit from more advanced planning, as do we, and we want that to be the case. So this wasn't out of the delay wasn't out of wanting to hold back anything. It was simply the situation we were faced with to get to where we need to be, which is, more than 12 months a window for planning and preparations for our national championship. On the governance and engagement side of things, we had a bylaw amendment that passed at our AGM in September, which includes the position of athlete director on the Bowls Canada Board of Directors. This is a requirement for national sport organizations as we look to be more athlete-centered and support the requirements of us as an NSO. We also have ongoing policy reviews to ensure that BCB policies remain up to date, reflect best practices, and align with the ever-evolving sport landscape. Next slide, please. So looking ahead to 2026, we are exciting national, international events are coming up. Obviously, our strategic priorities continue to be growing participation, especially around youth and underrepresented groups, enhancing national competition experience and hosting opportunities, provide tools and training to support clubs and coaches, continue competition review and develop a longer term strategy. So we have a multi-year agreement, but we constantly want to evaluate and strengthen our partnerships with PSOs like the OLBA and the broader Bowls community. Next slide. So coming up on June 6th is our National Bowls Day. The National Bowls Day this year is actually our 10th anniversary of National Bowls Day in Canada. The theme this year is Bowl Like a Pro, and we encourage every club to get out there and register your club as a participating club, whether you're running an open house, a come try event, a members event, a jitney. We just encourage, it doesn't have to be for the purposes of getting new members, but that's certainly the message that unites us. We know that some clubs are open and running their open houses before June 6th. And so this is just a day to unify that people across Canada are playing bowls. One thing I wanted to touch on up front is the swag packs for National Bowls Day, as we know that that has raised some questions in the past. We absolutely understand that the instinct is to want to have something for every participant, especially when clubs, especially in Ontario, we've noticed, are doing such a great job attracting strong numbers. That's a positive challenge to have, obviously, and it's exactly what the event is designed to do. But the way that we've structured the swag packs is a shared resource just to help create a sense of occasion rather than a one per person giveaway. The number of participants range across the country from 5 to 100, we found. As I mentioned last year, the average is about 50. So to provide something for every club is not exactly a fair or sustainable approach for us to take. So we've really designed it to be use it as giveaways or door prizes or something along those lines. Now, what we have done is we have the postcards, which are included in the pack, about if it's for new members or new participants that say, they gave bowls a try on this day. We have increased the numbers for those. So that could be a one for every person, but we just wanted to address that. We know it's a concern. We're happy to hear ideas if you have a solution on what could be a sustainable way to approach having one for everything, but they really weren't intended for that purpose. We also want to remind everybody that there is an online marketing toolkit. We're encouraging you to use it. And of course, it doesn't, if your event isn't happening necessarily on June 6th, but you still want that National Bowls Day piece, still sign up, share when you're having your event. I mean, the goal is that it's one single day, but we
They get same routine every time. When they get flagged for high performance. Yeah. They get
so we'd be happy to still promote that you're running a day that is close by, let's say. Okay.
Right. Oh, sorry.
Thank you. So this year, just talking about the national championships, Karen, you did kind of let the cat out of the bag earlier. So we haven't announced the para championships. That isn't from a lack of wanting to. We are waiting from the city to actually give the final sign off. We've found in the past that if we do not wait until all the parties have signed that agreement, there is a risk that takes. Now we know that also the risk is that people can't plan appropriately, but I will confirm to Karen's point, it is every intention as of right now to host the para championships at the Brampton Lawn Bowling Club. Again, we're just waiting to make that public announcement, waiting for the city. The Canadian Youth and Junior, I want to say a special thank you to Hanover for making their greens available to Bowls Canada to organize and run their event there, as well as the majors are being held at the North Vancouver Lawn Bowling Club. Special shout out to Windsor, who's hosting our senior championships there at the end of August, as well as the Canadian Indoor Singles. The dates to be confirmed. Location, again, waiting on a signed contract, is to be confirmed as well. Next slide. Yeah. So just talking about what a big event coming up, obviously we have the Commonwealth Games are happening in the end of July, beginning of August. Encouraging you all to cheer on Emma, Kelly, John, and Ryan. We do have some exciting and fun events planned in the lead up to the games, more details to come. And as I mentioned, we have a meeting happening with CBC. And when we get a better idea of if and when bowls will be broadcast during the games, we will share that out with our provincial partners, who will share that out to the clubs as well as on our social media. And we hope that you all take some time to watch those games. We have some great hopeful in there. And bowls is actually the single event that is occurring over the entire duration of the games. So there is 10 days or 9 days of lawn bowling games happening over the course of the Commonwealth Games. Next slide, please. So just talking about strategic priorities for Bowls Canada. So what does growth look like in bowls? And I've shared this stat last year. So in early 2020, a survey went out. We were really thankful for the clubs that participated in that indicated that in 2019, more than 110,000 Canadians were playing bowls through community programming. But we only have 13,900 that were being officially tracked. So that survey was asking about your corporate events, your school events that you don't register them as members, but they were participating in bowls. And I can say when we showed Sport Canada that information, we showed that bowls was having an impact on more Canadians than we've been able to show them in the past. So that's the information that we always look to get. We understand that there's a difference between membership and participant, and so how do we collect that data year in and year out to show? We have to figure that out, because I know it can be tough for clubs to collect that information sometimes. So next slide, please.
No.
So for us, a strategic priority is around diversification and growth. So identifying and exploring additional membership models is always it's a conversation we've been having for a couple years, but it's not something Bowls Canada is ever going to implement down to local clubs, but rather we just want to help share conversations around thinking about different models and different ideas. And so on the screen there are a few different ideas, and some clubs are already doing these and have found great success. So right now it's time for us to invest in development of some of these different models and marketing opportunities. And, Ontario, Bill, under the leadership of Bill, tried out that radio ad, and he said it well. If you don't try, you don't know if you can succeed with it, right? So we have to do the same and find out ways that nationally we can help that. PSOs to work together on standardizing some delivery in these strategies, whether it's about understanding how you can have a membership model that also works within the membership model of the Ontario Bowls Association, and clubs to look at how innovation and new ways of doing things can help revitalize the sport. So tapping into that membership guide that OLBA offers, looking at our community and club scan tool just to see what potential opportunities exist out there. Us utilizing these resources to kind of advance how the club might grow. Next slide. So sort of in alignment with what Ontario's has started to do already, we will be doing, it's currently named the BCB Club Series. So we're excited to introduce the BCB Club Series, an upcoming lineup of in-person and virtual workshops that will be developed and delivered over the next 3 years. The Club Series is designed to support, connect, and inspire clubs and local members by creating opportunities to hear, learn, and share best practices. So sessions will bring together fellow lawn bowlers, club leaders, content experts, so people outside of the sport, to exchange ideas and provide technical or practical tools that can be applied at the club level. It's an extension of our Belonging in Bowls accreditation program. So the series will build on existing resources, which will foster collaboration and innovation and continue to growth across their communities. The full calendar of workshops will be rolled out as the series develops. And it's just a great opportunity to share, learn, share, and grow together nationally, provincially, and locally. Next slide, please. So right, kind of delving into the connection, our Belonging in Bowls program is a club accreditation program that was launched back a few years ago. In its current form, it looks like this. It has a Safe Sport Foundation pillar, which every club entering into the accreditation program must do. It requires just a series of items to check off. And then we have 4 pillars, which offer some tools and resources and guidelines along it. What we have found, and it was a great first start for us and for clubs in Canada, but we've really identified that we need to make this process, this club accreditation, make a bit more sense for our current realities and make it easier for clubs to get into. So if I could go to the next slide, please. We are currently undergoing a Belonging in Bowls revamp. So we're relaunching with purpose. So under the last structure, as you saw on the screen there briefly, there was the Safe Sport Foundation with 4 pillars. Each pillar had 3 levels. But what we've identified that while those pillars were great, there was often overlapping items that covered a variety of those pillars. So achieving level 1 in marketing and communications and achieving level 1 in accessibility often still, they kind of overlapped in some of the things that we were doing. So we wanted to streamline it. And what we're doing is there's no more foundation and pillars, it's levels. It's just straight levels. And what we are seeing with what we've done with the levels is that your club input reflects the output that you get in terms of resources and support. So level 1 is all framed around commitment. Level 2 is all framed around structure, and level 3 is all framed around action. I won't read all those details out to you on the slide there. And when we get the full launch done, we will be sharing it out, and we hope that you'll be interested in finding out more information. You can reach out to the office for that as well. And for the clubs who have or are currently in the Bowls Canada accreditation program, the Belonging in Bowls, we will be in touch with you directly to talk about how we're maneuvering you into the new system. We don't want you to lose the work that you've done. We don't want you to have to redo the work that you've done to get that status. So we'll be in touch and more information to come. Next slide. We continue to offer through our office. We have several resources and guides. We have the Bowling Green Maintenance and Management Guide. It's a great resource developed with some really great experts. We have our Learn to Bowl Leader Guide. It's a resource that you can buy to help that gives you some skills and drills and information on how to welcome new bowlers to your club. We have our Bowler's Handbook. We have the Law Book as well as we offer some pins, 25 years, 50 years, as well as our Perfect End pin. All that information is available on Bowls Canada's website. It's available by contacting the office at office@bowlscanada.com or by visiting our website. Next slide. How can you get involved? So share your feedback on national initiatives. We can only be better if we receive feedback. We're not always perfect. And so when we're aware of that and we're open to the feedback and thank those who do share it, encourage your club to participate in the club accreditation program. So leverage those tools and resources to enhance your membership experience, welcome new and diverse participants, encourage local coaches and officials to pursue certification. So he's had it a few times and I know he's bowling today, but shout out to Reese for his ITO accreditation and to all the officials who are pursuing accreditation or certification. Participate in BCB storytelling campaigns or pilot projects. And of course, volunteer on national committees or working groups when they're open. And if you're ever interested in those, we advertise them on our website as well as on social media. And if you're ever interested in what opportunities there are on our website, they're under the Get Involved tab. Under opportunities is where we list any of the committees that may have openings. And we do have a few currently, so please feel free to check that out and let us know. And last slide, please. Again, I just want to thank everyone for allowing me the time. I know it's a Saturday morning, you probably all have a lot to do, but I just want to thank everyone and I'm open to taking questions. I have seen some come through the chat, but I thought I'd wait to address after I finish the presentation. And of course, please send an email if you have any questions. Visit our website. My email's there as well as our office at Bowls Canada website for that. And if no questions now, I will hopefully see you around some clubs this summer, especially around our national championships. Yeah, Karen.
Yeah, I got my hand up first. So you mentioned a couple of people that are going to the Commonwealth Games. So
Yeah.
if I recall correctly, from 4 years ago, there was a para bowls happening at the same time. So there was the traditional and the para. And actually, if I recall correctly, again, my memory could be faulty, they were bowling on the greens at the same time. So it was great when the coverage I saw, because you could go back and forth between them almost concurrently. So do we have any Canadian para bowlers going?
So we haven't, it's not official yet, but there is a very strong possibility here that in the very near future, Bowls Canada will be making an announcement around para bowlers. So just for everybody's information, it's not common knowledge, I'm sure, about qualifications and everything, how athletes qualify for Commonwealth Games or selected for, not selected, but athletes qualify or countries qualify for Commonwealth Games. Our able-bodied athletes qualified based on a variety of factors. The para games, the para bowls disciplines, unlike the able-bodied, only are having 6 countries participate in para bowls disciplines. 1 spot is automatically given to the host country. The next 2 were awarded based on results from the 2024 IBD championships. And so the remaining 3 spots, you had to apply for them through an application process. Canada applied for a spot in all 2 of the 3 disciplines. We were not successful in those applications. That said, it doesn't necessarily mean that things don't change. And so there will be an announcement very shortly announcing that Canada will be participating in a single para bowls discipline. More information to come shortly once we have permission to share that information.
Excellent.
And Karen, just to reference your comment about the parables happening at the same time as able-bodied, that is the case this year as well. So there's 3 disciplines: men's and women's para physical and mixed visual, paravisual, and they are happening concurrently with the other pieces, other disciplines of the sport as well.
Right. Excellent. So thank you for that. I don't see any hands up. Is there anyone who has a question for Brittany?
I just see in the chat quickly, there's conversations around the handbook. We were out of stock. They are back in stock. They're flying off the shelf. So we have another stock coming in, but there is currently some stock available. There's conversation and questions about them being made available electronically. It's a conversation we're still trying to sort through. We found specifically with our bowler handbook, the physical copy is still a well-received element, and something that, again, especially for new bowlers, I think taking it back and having it with them, having it in their bag each time they come to the club is something we found beneficial. So we're open to that conversation and feedback of why the electronic version might be preferred, but yeah, we're still having that conversation.
Right. Lorraine, you've got your hand up.
You're still on mute, Lorraine. I don't know.
Hi, Brittany. I just have one question for you. For hosting guidelines, is that updated on the website? Like what to host a national event? What's the, like, is the rules and regulations on hosting updated there or no?
Yeah, so what's still on our hosting page is for 2026. As soon as we get this last national championship announced, we'll update it. There's only a few slight modifications we're making for 2027 in terms of hosting requirements. We'll make those right away and then get it up. But you could go to what's there now and it would be very applicable for 2027 and 2028.
Okay, thank you very much.
You're welcome.
Any other questions for Brittany? I'm not seeing any. So I've had the pleasure of seeing Brittany multiple times this year. And we actually had a lunch date at one point this summer when I was on my way up to one of the provincial championships. We met and talked about lots of stuff. So she is very approachable and listens. So we look forward to continuing to work with you. And this year, with 3 national championships being in Ontario, we will be working together a lot. So
yeah, thank you. Thanks, everybody. And I just want to address some chatter in the conversation around the different membership model types. I don't know that we can solve that all or know the full solution, but that is one of the items that our club series is going to discuss about. So when that comes out, I welcome you all to register and attend. And then it's probably not a one-size-fits-all kind of idea, right? It would have to be adapted per club. So anytime you have an idea or if you've tried it out at your club and it hasn't worked, happy to get that information as well. But just stay tuned for that, and we're happy to keep those conversations going.
Right. Yeah. Excellent. Thank you, Brittany.
Thanks, everybody.
So, oops, I hit the wrong button. I wanted to just switch to the other slide, which I can't find at the moment. Give me a second. Here we go. Okay. So, Brittany's presentation was the last formal item on our agenda. So there's now time for not an unlimited amount of time, but we do have time to address any questions that people have. I see in the chat somebody was asking about the director's report. So what we've done is a number of years ago, we used to, all the directors would give a long verbal report, and that's now all included in the annual report that's on the website that we circulate in advance of the meeting, so you have a chance to look at it and think about it. So if people have questions from that annual report, they certainly can ask it, and any of the directors who are here can speak to it. Or we can address any other questions that you might have. Usually there's a couple of questions. We didn't get any in advance from anyone, but as people listen, they sometimes have them. Brittany mentioned about the series that they'll be doing with the webinars and the discussion sessions. The webinars that the OLBA has done so far have all been extremely well attended. And so if anyone has ideas for ones that you would like to suggest, shoot me an email. So just president@OLBA, and I will happily see if we can put that together. I've got one in the works because I've seen a number of things on the Facebook page and other places where clubs are asking about rentals. So it's not something that clubs have to do, but it is a great way of bringing in some additional revenue to your club without having to increase membership fees. So we're doing a webinar about that to give people some tips and some tools. So Lorraine, you've got your hand up.
Yeah, Karen, can you explain to me what the President's Committee does? Because I understand the President's Committee was like deciding the BCB format for the Championship 5. And that's the reason why they were having problems getting sponsor or like clubs to host the Canadian Championship this year. Why did it take so long?
Yeah, so if Brittany's still on the call, I'll give you a chance to speak in a moment. So it was a complex situation. So the President's Committee that Lorraine is asking about. So Bowls Canada has a board of directors that is elected, but then it also has the President's Council, which is comprised of the presidents of all of the provincial sports association. The President's Council is an advisory committee to Bowls Canada. We meet every 2 months. And so we have discussions with BCB. They ask us about things, we provide our advice. The decision-making body at BCB is their board of directors. In addition, as part of the championships that Brittany alluded to, there was a committee that was struck that met multiple times that included representatives from all of the provincial sports association that looked at it. And as you might appreciate, so I can say this and you don't have to feel like you're stepping on toes, Brittany. There were a real diverse set of opinions with some provinces, we have to stay exactly the way we are. Others that were like gung-ho for doing new things, and then other people that were in the middle. And so there was a lot that was involved in eventually landing on it. And Brittany did a great job of pulling people together and trying to get a consensus as opposed to imposing a model from the top. So Brittany, if you want to say something as well.
Yeah, sure. I mean, you summarized it quite well, but the President's Council, as Karen has mentioned, is a collaborative group that we meet on every other month to talk about a variety of topics. But certainly what has consumed the President's Council over the last 12 months is the national championships. And we had the Championship Evaluation Task Force, a separate group of individuals, and Karen has summarized it very well. There was such a variety of different ideas, different stances, some negotiable, some non-negotiable elements, and it wasn't a quick process. We absolutely would have liked to have been quicker. But it has actually been more than a year that is going. Ever since the changes have happened, we've actually been talking about updating those changes to find a model that worked for everyone. As you might recall, in 2024, when we implemented the initial changes, we had a province that boycotted the national championships due to the process that they did not agree with, nor the outcome. And so then in 2025, we had an interim format that was produced just so that we could keep the championships going forward, find a temporary solution. And then this version of our structure is a reflection of finding some middle ground in that interim format in 2025, and then working through what did and didn't work, namely bringing back the seniors event and the whole model of five-a-side not exactly being a working model that all of the provinces could agree upon. So it was a long process, and it was simply just the variety and differencing of opinions took a long time to get us to some middle ground where we could have those negotiables talked about and come to a solution. We do feel we're in a really good place now for some stability for the next few years, but it definitely is at the detriment to 2026. And we recognize that, and we by no means wanted that to be the case. But we do feel that moving forward, it puts us in a better position, and the time was needed.
Thank you.
Leanne, you've got your hand up.
Hi, I just wanted to let everyone know that Heritage Greens is hosting a youth tournament 2 days before the Youth Nationals. It's on Saturday, August 8th. And I worked on the format with consultation from Jake Masterson and our sponsors and a couple other people. Right now, the main tournament is drawn pairs for ages 12 to 18, and then fun games for anyone who is ages 9 to 11. I have heard that potentially some older than 18 might want to participate, so we are open to working on the format. And yeah, I'm glad that Hanover is hosting Youth Nationals, which made this all possible with our date being 2 days ahead of time. And we're hoping to get youth and juniors potentially from other provinces coming. And we started a junior program last year. The way we got participants was our new family membership. So any member can sign up their kids or grandkids for free. And we run a once a week program. And I've updated it because now we have some kids coming back for their second year. So anyone who would like to start a youth program, I'm willing to share it with you. And it was put together with help from Alberta Bulls. They shared their youth program. I haven't spent masses of time on it, but I put in a lot of games and little pictures of what equipment you need for the games, and then a weekly program. So anyone who wants it, just let me know. And hopefully your juniors will come to our tournament. And again, if you have older kids than 18 who want to come, we can figure that out. So that's what I wanted to say.
Yeah, we're happy to see a youth tournament happening. It's still very much an early stages work in progress, but we're trying to develop some provincial resources for clubs that would like to introduce or reintroduce or strengthen their youth programs. And just a reminder to everyone, so OLBA memberships, if someone is under 21, their OLBA membership is $0. So that impacts on what you need to charge that person, because you don't actually have to forward any money. They do need to become a member of the OLBA so that they are covered by the insurance, and they have a membership number for competing. And also, as a registered member, they can then sign up for things like the provincial championships. It doesn't cost anything for anyone under 21 to become a member from the OLB perspective. Other questions? So just by way of wrap up, I'd like to thank everyone for being here. We had a good turnout. I don't know what your weather was like where you are. Today it was pouring rain first thing this morning. I think it has stopped here, which is good because maybe I can go out and do some errands this afternoon. But thank you for taking your time on a Saturday morning to join us for this. If there's something that you want to reach out, you think about it as soon as the call is over. I know I have a tendency to do that. Please feel free to send us anyone emails. So they're all on the website, and a lot of us have aliases. So there's like grants at OLBA, treasurer at OLBA, president at OLBA. So you can email us quite readily. So thank you everyone for attending today. And I will reiterate the initial thank you to all of our volunteers. We talked a little bit about money today, and absolutely, given the funding or lack thereof that we have, the sport could not continue without the hard work of all the volunteers at our clubs. So thank you. So I'll stay here for a couple of minutes if people have questions, but otherwise, please go out and enjoy the rest of your weekend. Oh, yeah. So Guelph has made a motion to adjourn. Thank you. I forgot that. And per rules of order, we just need somebody to move that. We don't actually need a seconder. We don't need a vote. So we are now officially adjourned at 12:26. Thank you, Guelph. That was Blake, I think. So. If you're not sure how to leave the call, there's that big red button that looks like a phone on the right-hand side of your screen at the bottom. Thanks, Nan.
We'll chat soon.
Yes.
Unless you want us to stay on.
No, we don't have any official board business that we need to do. I'll probably be sending out some emails and everything. Kevin, thank you for your time today.
Yeah, thanks, Kevin. Thanks, Rebecca, Bill.
Thank you, everyone.
Everybody else.
And Ralph, thank you for being here today. You left quite a legacy for Rebecca doing grants and me as president and the others to fill going forward. So hopefully we're living up to your legacy.
Excellent. Thank you, Karen.
Yeah.
Talk soon.
Okay. Thanks, everybody.
Thanks, everyone. Bye.